In presenting this report, my first duty would be to thank the Debar Commission for preparing this valuable document. The Commission have gone deep into the various aspects of this problem and have produced an important and valuable document. The Commission had to tour a lot and they had to put in very hard work. I should like to convey my thanks and congratulations to the chairman of the commission, Shri Debar, and also to his other colleague for this useful contribution. As the House is aware, the problem of the scheduled tribes has been constantly engaging the attention of the government since the constitution was framed and adopted. Still, the government were not satisfied with the actual progress made. It was in that context that the government appointed two committees before the Debar Commission was appointed. The first was the Elvin Committee, which specially dealt with the problem of the tribal blocks. The second committee was appointed on the suggestion of the Estimates Committee to study the problem of the backward communities specially. On the top of that, in pursuance of Article 339 of the Constitution, the government appointed the Debar Commission and now it is for the House to give its opinion on the recommendations made by the Commission. Our desire is that as soon as the Parliament, this House as well as the other House has discussed this report and expressed its views, we will go ahead with the recommendations made and we will certainly like that they are implemented as early as possible. I do not want to enter into generalities, but it must be said that our country is vast and our problems are also immense. Generally, we are a very poor country and it is true that during the British days, we did not actually realize what poverty meant. People suffered without much protest, but now, when the country is trying to go ahead with economic development, it is but natural that every section of our community should like to progress simultaneously. I think if we are frank, we should admit that there are certain weaker sections of our community in the country who have not made as much advance and progress as others have done. It has therefore become very important that we should lay special emphasis on the development of the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. It is necessary therefore that we should carefully consider the various recommendations made and see what we can do to achieve certain target within a prescribed period. The scheduled tribes have been living in isolated places, far off places not connected with roads. They do not have any amenities of life, neither medical aid nor even proper education facilities. We have to bring them out of that situation and we must try to integrate those people with other sections of our countrymen. It is far from my mind to suggest that we should impose anything on them, whether our customs or our culture, though the culture is more or less common throughout the country, but every community has its own conventions and customs. Therefore, when I say that there should be complete integration, I do not mean to suggest that there should be imposition of anything on the tribal communities as such. Still, it is essential that integration will only be possible if their standards are raised, if they are more or less brought to the same level where we or the other people are who are not so isolated. So, we have to bring these people to that level and we can do that not by implementing certain schemes only but by bringing about a radical change in our outlook and approach. There may be different communities and different religions in our country, but India had its own unique tradition in the past which we have to carry on and maintain even now. In fact, our philosophic base has been unity in diversity, and in it is our good future that when we are free, when we have become independent, various communities and religions exist in our country, and it should be our effort to bring about complete unity and solidarity amongst ourselves, even if our religions are different or we differ in our customs, rights, etc. So I think that it is a challenge to all of us, and I have no doubt that we will be able to meet this challenge. I do not want to take more time of the house. As I said in the beginning, I do not want to enter into generalities. So far as the recommendations of the Commission are concerned, they can broadly be divided into two categories. There are recommendations which are to be dealt with or which directly concern the Home Ministry and some other ministries of the Government of India. There are other recommendations which mainly concern the state governments. In fact, it is the state governments which have really to execute and implement the programs. It was suggested by the Commission that there should be a separate department for the scheduled tribes. This matter was considered in the conference, but it was generally felt that if the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes are separated to be dealt with by different departments, there will be a good deal of duplication of work because two sets of officers will have to traverse the same area and more or less consider the same problems. It was therefore the unanimous opinion of the Conference of State Ministers that one department should deal with the problems of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes, and it was also agreed that there should be a separate directorate or the same. If there is a separate directorate, then it can concentrate on problems considering the scheduled tribes. It was also suggested that this directorate, which will have to be set up in all the states, especially in states where the population of the scheduled tribes exceeds 1 million, should also look after the work relating to the denotified and the nomadic tribes, in addition to, as I said, the work relating to the scheduled tribes. The conference was in favor of having Tribes Advisory Council to advise on the protection and development of the scheduled tribes in all the states and union territories, whether they have scheduled areas or not. This House, I am sure, is aware that there are scheduled areas and non-scheduled areas. Even in non-scheduled areas, a large number of scheduled tribes live, but for the special programs, we have to decide to concentrate on the scheduled areas first. I shall come to that point later on, but I am merely mentioning that the scheduled tribes live both in scheduled areas and in non-scheduled areas. It was decided that whenever at present there in a combined reservation in the services for the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes, separate percentage of reservation should be fixed by the state governments, and it was agreed that the state governments would instruct all local authorities like municipalities, panchayat, samitis, Jila Parishad, etc. to follow the public policies laid down by them in regard to the presentation of all scheduled tribes in the services. It was decided to have a small communities of officials from the tribal welfare department and the different departments at the state level to ensure coordination. The conference also agreed that there should be a section under the chief secretary for evaluation or the tribal welfare program. If all these and other decisions taken at the conference are implemented with speed, as it is hoped that there will be considerable improvement of the conditions which exist at present. I also want to mention, madam, that we were told in the conference that this work was going to be entrusted to the Jila Parishads and Panchayats, and some of the schemes which have to be implemented in the rural areas will be executed by the Panchayats and the Jila Parishads. Well, I welcome this suggestion, but I only wanted a caution the district authorities and the state governments not to leave everything to the Jila Parishads and Panchayats and have no supervision and watch over their work. My fear is that because this will be a new work for them, they may not be able to bestow enough attention to the problems or the schemes concerning the scheduled tribes. They will have many other things to do. So, it would be necessary that the district authorities should keep constant watch, and they should keep constant watch, and they should function as the friend and guide of the panchayats and the Jila Parishads. Madam, there are two major schemes in respect of the scheduled tribes on the central sector of the program, which are controlled by the Ministry of Home Affairs and on which the entire expenditure is borne by the Government of India. There are the scheme of tribal development blocks, and these schemes relating to promotion of cooperation among the scheduled tribes, particularly in the form of forest laborers, cooperative societies and labor contract societies. The Ministry of Home Affairs appointed a special working group on cooperation about a year